The single most expensive repair on your car isn't the engine. It's the automatic transmission bolted right behind it. And most of the dead ones I haul out of cars weren't worn out by miles. They were killed by the person driving. 20 years in the bay, and I've got a back room stacked with transmission cores that should have lasted another 100,000 miles. Almost every one of them died from a handful of small habits nobody ever warned the owner about. We're going to count down the 9 that do the most damage. And number 1 is the one that stings the most, because you almost certainly do it every single time you park. It takes half a second to stop, and it costs you absolutely nothing to fix. Get these right, and you protect the one part most likely to send your car to an early grave with a 4-figure repair bill. Let's start at 9. Number 9, towing more than the transmission can cool. Heat is the number 1 killer of automatic transmissions, and nothing builds heat like a heavy load. When you tow or haul near the limit, especially uphill in summer or with overdrive left on, the fluid temperature climbs fast and stays there. That heat cooks the fluid until it loses its protective qualities and the clutch packs inside begin to glaze and slip. The truck will still pull the load, so you assume everything's fine, right up until the moment it very much isn't. A building contractor outside Boise brought me a 2016 F-150 that had spent a whole summer dragging a loaded trailer in overdrive. No transmission cooler, no tow mode. The fluid came out black and smelled scorched. The transmission was finished, and the rebuild ran him $5,380 for a truck that had every bit of the strength to do the job if only the heat had been managed. If you tow with any regularity, use tow haul mode so the transmission stops hunting and locks out overdrive. Add an auxiliary cooler, often around $96 installed, and never run a load near your rating on a hot day without watching that temperature. Number 8. Resting your hand on the shifter. This one looks completely harmless, and that's exactly why it does its damage in the dark. When you rest your hand on the gear selector, you're putting a steady side load on a linkage that connects to moving parts inside the transmission. Inside there, a selector fork rides against a rotating drum. That fork was engineered to be touched briefly, not leaned on for an entire commute, and constant light pressure wears it long before it's time. Catch yourself at the next red light. Is your hand resting on that shifter right now, out of pure habit? That comfortable little lean is landing on a part that was never built to carry it. The fix costs you nothing at all. Keep both hands on the wheel and rest your arm on the center console or your knee instead. The transmission never feels a thing. Number 7, trusting the lifetime fluid myth. Somewhere along the way, the industry started slapping the words lifetime fluid or filled for life on transmissions, and a lot of good people took it to mean they never had to think about it again. That phrase has destroyed more transmissions than almost anything else on this list. Transmission fluid is doing brutal work. It cools, it lubricates, and it actually transmits the power through the clutches. And every mile of heat slowly breaks down the additives that let it do all 3. Old fluid turns dark, loses its grip, and lets the clutches slip and burn. Look at 2 Honda Accords that both reach 120,000 miles. The first owner had the fluid serviced at 60,000 and again at 100, and it still shifts crisp and clean. The second believed the lifetime label and never touched it. That one slips on the 2 to 3 shift, and the fluid smells faintly burnt, and it's only months from a rebuild. Service the fluid on a real interval, roughly every 60,000 miles, or half that if you tow, using the exact fluid your transmission specifies. A proper service runs about $186, and it is the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy. That's the slow and expensive way a transmission dies. The next mistake is faster and far quieter. It dumps the entire weight of your car onto a single part the size of your thumb. Number 6, slipping into park before you fully stop. When you shift into park, a small steel finger called the parking pal drops into a notch on a gear to hold the car still. It was designed for one job, keeping an already stopped car from rolling. Shift into park while the car is still creeping though, and that little pawl has to absorb the entire rolling weight of the vehicle in one violent catch. You feel it as a clunk, and most people have come to think that clunk is just normal. I've replaced more bent pawls and stretched linkages than I can count, and the story behind them is always the same. A driver who drops it into park a half second before the car has truly settled. The wear pattern on the part tells on them every single time. The habit costs nothing to break. Come to a complete stop, hold the brake, then shift to park. And on any hill, set the parking brake first so the car's weight rests there instead of on that pawl. Ignore it, and a worn pawl and linkage repair will run you around $643. The next mistake feels like the smartest, most frugal thing you can do behind the wheel, and it's quietly starving your transmission of the one thing keeping it alive. Number 5. Coasting in neutral to save gas. This one gets passed down like family wisdom. Slip the car into neutral on a long downhill, let it roll, and save yourself a little fuel. The trouble is that it does the opposite of what you think on every front. In a lot of automatics, the cooling and lubrication inside depend on the transmission turning under load the way it does in gear. Coast in neutral at speed and you reduce that flow right when the parts are spinning fast. And then, when you drop it back into drive while still rolling, the clutches have to grab a moving drive line in one hard, shocking bite. The Automatic Transmission Rebuilders Association, the people who tear these units down and rebuild them for a living, point to heat and improper operation, not old age, as the leading reasons automatics end up on their benches. Coasting in neutral checks both of those boxes at once. Drop a comment below what's on your mind. Be honest, do you ever knock it into neutral coasting down a long hill? A lot of folks learned it from a parent and never once questioned it. Here's the part that makes it pointless. Nearly every modern fuel-injected car already cuts the fuel entirely when you lift off the gas and gear, so you save fuel and keep your engine braking and spare the clutches all at the same time. Just leave it in drive, abuse it for years instead, and you're looking at the same kind of $3,890 rebuild as everyone else on this list. A slipping coast is a slow burn. The next mistake does its damage in the first cold minute of the day, before the car has even warmed up. Number 4. Flooring a cold transmission. On a cold morning, your transmission fluid is thick and sluggish, and it takes a few minutes of driving to thin out and reach everywhere it needs to be. Stand on the gas before that happens, and you force full pressure and hard clutch engagement through fluid that isn't ready yet. Most drivers know to let the engine warm, but they forget the transmission warms on its own schedule, and only by being driven gently. The engine being warm tells you nothing about the fluid down in the pan. Take 2 Chevy Silverados living through the same Midwest winters. The first driver eases out easy for the first few miles every cold morning, and that truck still shifts like new past 200,000. The second floors it the second it starts, day after frozen day, and earns himself a harsh banging shift and a $1,275 valve body. The fix is simply patience. Let it idle for a moment, then drive gently for the first few minutes with no hard throttle until the temperature comes up. It costs you nothing but a little restraint. Quick reminder before the last few. If this is helping you protect that transmission, take a second and hit subscribe. It's what keeps these videos coming. The next mistake feels like nothing at all, a quick, satisfying jump off the line. But to your transmission, it lands like a punch, over and over again. Number 3. Hammering the gas from every stop. When you stab the throttle from a dead stop, you slam a wave of torque through the clutches and the torque converter before they've smoothly taken hold. Do it once and the transmission shrugs. Do it at every light for years, and those friction surfaces wear and overheat far faster than the miles alone would ever explain. It feels like pure engine business, all noise and shove, so nobody blames the transmission, but the transmission is exactly where the bill comes due. A real estate agent in Des Moines brought me a 2014 Malibu that had developed a shudder and a slip, and she was always running late between showings, launching off every green light like it was a race. A shop had already quoted her $2,940 for the slipping clutches. She caught it in time, once she learned to roll smoothly into the throttle and got the fluid serviced. The car held together and the shudder faded. Just ease into the gas off the line. You lose nothing in real-world pace, and you spare those clutches the beating that ages them before their miles. But every hard launch and every rushed shift we've covered still points back to the single worst habit of all. There are 2 mistakes left, and the very last one is the half-second slip I promised you at the start, the one you make every time you park. Number 2. Ignoring low fluid and small leaks. A transmission is a sealed, pressurized system. It does not slowly sip fluid the way an engine sips oil, so if your level is dropping, there is only one real explanation. It's leaking out somewhere, and it won't stop on its own. Run even a little low and the pump starts pulling air instead of fluid. Pressure drops, the clutches lose their firm grip, and they begin to slip and overheat. And slipping clutches generate the exact heat that finishes a transmission off. Here's a challenge for you. When is the last time you actually looked at the ground where you park overnight? Go out tomorrow morning and study that spot. A reddish or light brown patch is your transmission quietly bleeding, and almost nobody looks until the shifting has already started to go. Check the fluid level on the schedule in your manual, or have it checked and chase down any drip the moment you see it. A seal or gasket caught early runs around $124. Let it bleed out and limp along low, and the rebuild waiting on the far side of that is about $4,510. Keep it full and fix the drips early, because the very last mistake, the one I promised you at the very start, is brutal enough on a healthy transmission. On a low one, it's a death sentence. Here it is. Number 1. Shifting between drive and reverse before you fully stop. This is the one. The half-second habit that quietly destroys more transmissions than almost anything else, and nearly everyone reading the road right now is guilty of it. When you move the lever from reverse to drive or drive to reverse while the car is still rolling, even a slow crawl, the transmission has to catch the entire momentum of the drivetrain and force it the other way. The clutches and bands grab against that motion and absorb the full shock instead of engaging gently from a dead stop the way they were designed to. And here's why it's the worst of them all. It never feels violent, it never throws a warning light, and you do it in the most ordinary moments. Backing out and pulling away, working through a three-point turn, rocking out of a tight spot. The wear stays completely invisible until the day the transmission starts to slip. A mail carrier in Chattanooga brought me a 2013 CR-V from her route, a car with surprisingly modest miles that had started slipping and flaring between gears. Hundreds of stops a day, and like most carriers, she'd been snapping it from reverse to drive while the car was still easing backward, thousands of times a week. A shop had quoted her $3,260. The miles hadn't killed that transmission. 250,000 tiny rolling shifts had. And the faster the car is still moving when you do it, the worse the hit. Easing the lever through at a slow crawl is bad enough, but swinging it into reverse while you're still rolling forward to back into a spot forces the transmission to absorb the entire direction change at once. That kind of shock shears the clutch friction material and glazes the steel bands, and once those surfaces are cooked, there's no cleaning them up, only replacing them. The fix is the easiest thing on this entire list. Come to a complete, full stop, let the car settle back on itself, and only then move the lever between drive and reverse. Half a second of patience, costing you absolutely nothing, protecting the single most expensive part on your car. If the habit is a hard one to break, give yourself one simple rule. Your hand doesn't touch that lever until you felt the car rock back and settle. Make that automatic, and you've guarded the priciest component on the whole vehicle for as long as you own it. Stop completely before you change direction, keep it cool, keep it full, and go easy when it's cold. Do that, and your transmission will quietly outlast the car built around it. Protect that one part, and you sidestep the most expensive repair you will ever face for nothing more than a little patience. Now that you know the mistakes, you need to catch the trouble before it turns terminal. I put the 5 earliest warning signs of a dying transmission in the video on your screen right now. Tap it before your car ever shows you a single one. I'll see you there.